Kevin Reynolds, a psychologist with Catholic Charities. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Talk about, people are going through a lot of anxieties these days due to the COVID-19 pandemic. What kind of things are you hearing from people now? And is it different from what you were hearing, say, a few weeks ago?
It's completely different. You're hearing a lot is there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of, I don't like using the term new normal. I would say this is new. There's nothing normal about this. I've never in my lifetime experienced anything like this, and I'm sure none of us ever will. But mainly people are just very, very stressed out. They're afraid, they're scared. I'm talking with a lot of people who have lost their jobs and people who had really good positions and doing exceptionally well. Now they don't have the jobs anymore, and they're very worried about that. Worried about not being able to pay their bills, their mortgage, putting food on the table, taking care of their children, not being able to see friends and family, especially that. What I'm also hearing a lot is that people are reaching out to people that they haven't talked to in weeks,
Mm-hmm.
months, or even years, because I've even had that experience myself, full disclosure, with people calling me friends of mine and fraternity brothers that I haven't even heard from. And it's been really good, um, especially the people who are living at home by themselves. That's a really big challenge. And each time you speak with them, it's more or less you're having to build them up all over again to let them know that this is something that is not going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a temporary fix. None of us know how much longer that this is going to happen. Nobody knows how much longer they're going to be out of work. Don't even know if the kids are going back to school in the fall. There's a lot of parents are having concerns about that, or if their kids are going to be able to go back to school at all this year, or will they be able to actually go back into the school buildings even at the beginning of 2021? People are just really stressed out and really afraid, and it's understandable.
And I'd imagine you're a therapist, and so your job requires you to be in close contact with people, not just to hear what they're saying, but to read them physically, their body language.
Exactly.
How has this
Yes.
changed
Yes.
how you do what you do?
I've always pride myself on really not just hearing what people are saying, but really listening. I really, I teach a workshop on active listening, and all those skills that I have taught people over the years, I'm really actually using them myself to make sure that I'm being present, making sure that I'm being succinct, making sure that I'm paraphrasing when they're actually speaking to me. I want to make sure that I'm really there for them in the moment where they are. And I'll ask from time to time, am I responding to your question well? Or did I hear you correctly? This is what I've heard. So now you correct me if I'm wrong. And I think it's interesting when you make people's sessions interactive instead of letting them do all the talking. It's it's a much better session, not only for them but for me as well, because what happens is I get so much more than I have, say, if I was having face-to-face meetings with them. I get so much more because they feel isolated. It's more than just really being quarantined. They feel that, am I ever going to get out of this? Am I ever going to move away from this? I'm lonely. I'm here by myself, and family can't come visit me. I don't know who really has the coronavirus, or there are people who are asymptomatic. They don't have any symptoms. I may be a carrier myself, and I don't know that I am. So these are the questions that people are asking, and it's everybody that I speak to. And I also have a lot of elderly clients that I speak to, and they're really afraid. Some of them are afraid that they're going to die during this pandemic, that they're not going to see their loved ones. A lot, come on, you're dealing with elderly people. They don't know how to use the social media. They don't know. I mean, they know about Zoom, but how does it work?
Mhm.
They know about Skype. How does it work? FaceTime. I remember being in the office. I showed a lot of my clients how to FaceTime when they had, those who had an iPhone, and as well as those who were kind of somewhat savvy, how to download the Zoom app and how to actually get on before all of this even happened, because they were, excuse me, interested in finding out how does all of this work. I hear people talk about it. I hear my grandkids or nieces and nephews talk about these things, but I personally don't know how to use them, and I want to learn. And if you know, can you please teach me? And it's like, of course.
Mhm.
So I
But
really
as you
always
count,
try to be there.
okay,
Mhm.
as you counsel, Kevin, people with all this uncertainty that we all have, what do you say to them to allay their fears or concerns? You're almost like a minister.
To some people, it's ironic that you would say that, because to some, to a lot have said that since they can't go to church, that their weekly visit with me is like being in church and listening to the minister or priest or pastor who's in the pulpit. And they feel reassured. And I tell people, control the things that you can control. Don't worry about the things that you can't. It's important to just put little things around your place, and when you feel a little down, just look at those things and say that I'm someone who's strong, and I'm someone who still continues to inspire people. I'm someone who people can still count on, because it's not the same, of course, but you can pick up that phone and you can call that neighbor. You can call that church member.
Hmm.
You can call the girlfriend that you've, been friends with for 30, 40, 50 years. We're all doing things differently now. And it's even more interesting when you go outside. I call it dodgeball, because that's exactly what you're doing. There are some people who are wearing masks, and then there are some who are not.
Hmm.
And it's really interesting how the ones who are not wearing the mask are looking at you as if something is definitely wrong with you. It's really interesting. Because full disclosure, me myself, I only go out every 2 weeks, and that's just to go to the grocery
Okay.
store or CVS or whatever the case may be, and then I'm back in.
Okay, Kevin, anything else? Last question here that you care to say?
And I say this often. Just know that this is something none of us have experienced before. This is something that hopefully that we will never see again. I know this is the first wave. They said that the second wave is going to be even worse than the first. But just to try and again, going back to things that you can control, and keeping in contact with people that you love and that love you and that care about you. Those things are so important. Yes, the element of touch is important too. We can't do that right now. None of us. However, it is still so important to continue to reach out to people.
Okay,
Very
Kevin
important.
Reynolds, thank you for joining us. Kevin Reynolds, psychologist of Catholic Charities. Thank you.
Thank you.